Hey everyone, and welcome to the Let's Be Real podcast. I am your host for today, Nayan, and I'm joined here as always by James. Boy, how you doing?
Boy, I'm doing
Boy.
good. No, I'm doing good, man.
That's good. Get up to anything much over the weekend, or?
Yes, I watched all the Black Mirror, which we just reviewed.
Yes,
We saw Elemental on Friday.
we did.
I saw it on Saturday.
You did.
I saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, so that was nice.
Third one?
No, that's the
Yes.
no Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sorry.
Oh, first one.
Yep, I saw that one. Classic, good movie, love it. What else? Not much besides that on the weekend. It was a pretty nice, mellow weekend. I enjoyed it. What about you?
Yeah, I pretty much watched all of the Black Mirror episodes except for the last one.
Yeah, we covered that too.
Yeah. I watched the first Indiana Jones, so Raiders and Temple of the Doom.
Yeah.
So I still need to watch The Last Crusade and
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom before Wednesday.
Yep.
So my plan is to watch one tonight and one tomorrow.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I was really surprised because I watched Raiders when I was very young, so I couldn't remember that much, and it's
Yeah.
actually so enjoyable now.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like easily one of the best adventure films. Made.
It's just a pure classic, isn't
It
it?
is 100%. Yeah, there's a good reason as to why it's like one of the best films made
Yeah,
by
for
Steven
sure.
Spielberg. Anyway, no sports games today because none of our teams played.
Yeah, hey, we had the F1 race,
Oh, F1 race.
and same thing as usual. Max Verstappen won. Yeah.
Nice.
Loved it. Yep.
That's good.
That was good. It was a good race.
All right, here on the Let's Be Real podcast, we're here to bring you all the latest and greatest news from the entertainment industry. From blockbuster hits to indie flicks, we got you all covered. And if you're a real movie buff, be sure to check out moviegames.com for more exciting content like box office analysis, Oscar predictions, and 4K physical media content as well. Today's show, we will be covering, obviously, the box office results for the past weekend, the Avatar delays, the MCU delays, Warner Brothers and Christopher Nolan, details about Toy Story 5, Pixar's plans for its sequels, the Flash's visual effects comments, and Christopher McQuarrie's comments on the future of Mission Impossible. Oh, there's a little bit of a tongue twister there. So we'll get into the box office right now. So in the top spot, it was Flash with 55.1 million. Second was Elemental with 29.5 million. Third place, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, 27.8 million. Transformers Rise of the Beast with 20 million. And The Little Mermaid with 11.6 million. So I presume you're going to talk about the first two, whether it hit your expectations or not. So jump into it.
Well, I'll cover all of them, really. Everything here fell under projections, not just by myself, but by a majority of the industry. You know, Flash, it opened up with, in terms of tracking, above 70 million. And that everyone thought that was a lowball figure. At least industry insiders thought it was they were lowballing it with the tracking there. So yeah, this is kind of a disaster. I think it had about $220 million budget and it opened to around 130 million worldwide. So it's a really soft opening. And it has a B cinema score. So don't expect much leaks from it, alongside massive competition coming in future weeks and all the competition that exists right now. I think Flash will finish around like 120 million domestically and around 350 million worldwide. It's tough, yeah. But it's the dying of the DCEU. Obviously the comments from Tom Cruise, from James Gunn, David Zaslav, saying it's one of the best ever. Yeah, it just wasn't. Nice try, but the casual movie-going audience, they're honest. B cinema score, not that good. Too much. We're going to get into the visual effects, of course, later, but from a lot of the comments that I'm reading on Twitter, there's a lot of hatred towards this movie, a lot of dislike. Obviously, the Ezra Miller stuff that plays a part in this. But yeah, they try to run the marketing on early fan screenings of people saying it's amazing, and then it fell flat.
Yeah.
It wasn't. So don't expect this to do much at the box office. It's not going to be a big hit. As for Elemental, again, just another really bad one. Worst opening in Pixar history. This is not good. $200 million budget. I I don't know what it did worldwide, but yeah, okay, the worldwide it's 15 million as well. So
15
million. So it's about 48. But Pixar usually has staggered openings when it comes to rolling it out internationally. So don't expect a complete picture just yet. You can expect Elemental to have more of a leggier run. Its only direct competition is Spider-Verse in terms of, a family film, if that, and animated. Its next competition is Barbie, maybe. I mean, the Barbie trailer played in front of Elemental when I saw it the second time. So
did it?
yeah. And Barbie's a kid's toy, obviously. So that's probably its only like competition in terms of getting the younger audience to come through.
Yeah.
So it can leg it out for a good run. It got an A cinema score, so you can expect a good long run for this. I'd say it might even be near Flash's total figure domestically at the 120 domestic mark. Could leg it out towards that, but the 100 million mark maybe in reach. We'll have to see. As for internationally, I don't think it's going to do too much. Both movies here have made a loss for their respective studios. It is just, it's very disappointing. I think what you're seeing from this weekend is that all these movies are just cannibalizing each other. Like, there's not enough screens. There's not enough people. Like, it's just like, you got like 4 movies over 20 million here, and they're just eating at each other. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, that's still hot. The word of mouth is insane for that movie. Me and you both know that. If there was barely any competition, this would be dropping at least like 30 to 40%, not 50% like we've seen. So it's sad to see that. But it's sitting at 280 million right now in terms of the domestic gross. It's about 490 worldwide. So regardless, it's still very positive because it's $100 million budget, So it's made some really nice profit there. I expect this to continue to have a really long run despite Elemental in its way. How it's only, like 2 million apart, and it's its third weekend for Spider-Verse. That's crazy. Yeah, that's so good. It's just showing the effect of like Spider-Man and good quality film as well. Transformers, it dropped 67%. I've said it before in this podcast. I've said it on moviegames.com where I cover box office. It's like Fast X. They just drop like rocks. Like, they have a good opening weekend and they're done. So you can't look at it 60 million opening weekend and be like, oh my gosh, box office hit. No, you got to wait for the second weekend. And we're seeing that now, but it hit 100 million. It's fine. Still going to lose money because it's about $180 to $200 million budget. And worldwide, it is doing okay. It's about 227, but with that kind of budget, you need at least 450 to 500 million to make a profit or make a return on it. So I don't see it getting that, especially with China the way it is. And Little Mermaid, it fell 50%. Bit steeper than the last 2 weekends, but it's good. It can withstand some competition there. It's good counter programming for all the other stuff there. What do you think of these results?
Yeah, surprising. I think before the weekend or early in the week, I read that how the projections for Flash was around the 100 plus mark.
That was forecasting by Box Office Pro, and that came out before actual tracking, like the official tracking. Yeah.
Well, I only saw that over the weekend, so
yeah.
I was really shocked at how low that is. I think it's lower than Black Adam's.
Yes, that's a big surprise.
Which is a shame because this movie is way better than Black Adam, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd say it's somewhere on par. They're on the same field, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, the hierarchy definitely did not change. But I was low key expecting this to have around about that 60 mark realistically.
At least, yeah.
Just goes to show no one cares about DCU, and maybe the Ezra Miller problem or had an effect on this where people don't want to watch their content. Should probably have Warner Brothers worried about when Aquaman comes out with Amber Heard and how they're going to do that.
Interesting, yeah.
Because we could see, if not similar but worse results when that comes out. Blue Beetle, I feel he's too niche of a character for people to actually go out and see unless it's like,
Oh, absolutely.
Unless it's like Guardians one sort of level where it's just so unexpected and
great,
good and fantastic where everyone just goes to see it.
Yeah.
It's probably a good thing the DCEU is dying.
It's about time.
Yeah, because clearly like these box office results goes to show why. Elemental, I think that surprised me the most. out of this weekend.
Being that low?
Being that low. I was
Yeah.
expecting at least like
Lowest in Pixar history.
exactly. And
Yeah.
Pixar has some pretty terrible films as well. In
Lightyear.
their exactly, and somehow lost to Lightyear.
Yeah.
Even with Onward as well, like that's not a good Pixar film, and that like this to still get lower than that.
Yeah.
I think the reason for this would have to be the critic reviews and stuff like that.
I do think part of it's the marketing. I mean, just think about yourself as like an observer. You didn't really see much of this movie.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, if we weren't involved in movies as much as we are, we wouldn't really have much knowledge that this is coming out. I think the marketing's been awful. And as we said in the review, you know, like the concept's just way too familiar in so many different like areas that it's like you feel like you've seen it before.
Yeah.
Until you actually see the movie and you're like, oh, it's actually quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. Spider-Verse, I think that's gonna because Indiana Jones comes out this week.
No, it comes out next week.
I think Spider-Verse could take the top spot. Because I'm expecting a huge drop for the Flash.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be interesting.
And Elemental is definitely gonna drop. I mean, there's only like less than 2 million.
It's going to be a very interesting weekend because No Hard Feelings comes out, the Jennifer Lawrence rom-com movie. That could make a play to win the weekend. I think it'll open around between 15 and 20 million. You know, if Spider-Man drops to 50% again, then that's like 14 million, 13 to 14 million. I think it'll stabilize much better next weekend. But yeah, there's like at least 4 contenders who could win next weekend. Elemental could still be in play.
Oh, could be. Guess we'll have to wait and see how things play out next week.
Should be good.
Yeah. All right. Next one is delays galore, and we'll get into Avatar. I guess your ladder's changed now, right?
Pardon?
Your ladder's changed now.
We'll get to that next week. We got some good positionings happening.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but originally Avatar 3 was supposed to come out next year, and was it a year after? So Avatar 4 would be 25.
Every 2 years.
2 years,
24, 26, and 28.
All right. So now Disney's done a massive delay thing here. So Avatar 3 is now releasing on December 19th, 2025. So that's been pushed back essentially a year. Avatar 4 has been pushed back from to December 21st, 2029. And Avatar 5 has been pushed back to December 19, 2031. Yeah, 31. Now, really funny because Zoe Saldana made a post saying when she made the first one, she was 27, and by the time the final one comes out, she's going to be 53. So these are big delays, and what you're a big fan of Avatar. What do you think about these delays, and what do you think they could possibly delay this for, like visual effects turn up? Or
I don't know because these delays are like they're extreme. 28 to 31 is a big delay for a movie that's far away. You don't need to touch it. I understand delaying the third one, perhaps by next year, at the end of next year, it's not ready. That's cool. I want these movies polished. I want VFX to be at the top of the game, same as the first 2 ones, obviously. I think I messaged you kind of like my theory on it that James Cameron wants to continue like breaking new VFX ground for these films, so hence the major delay. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just kind of me thinking about it, I guess. You know, the writer's strike could be a part of it, but they've already written, so I don't know how that could play a part in it. I have no clue. I couldn't possibly think other than, you know, it's to make the VFX better, and that's good. They still got to do a lot of shooting. There's still, I think both of the 4 and 5 need to be filmed yet. They've shot some scenes for the 4th one, but that's just so to show that the kids are aging and progression with the storyline of the actual movies themselves. But yeah, man, looking at these release dates, you know, I get all like squeamish in a way, you know, like 2031, man, I'm going to be 35. And I think I was 13 when the first one came out. They're just 22 years to tell 5 movies. I don't like that. I think it's excessive now because we've undergone like I think at least like 8 to 9 years where there's just delays after delays after delays. I think the second one was slated for 2014 originally. Could be a mistaken in that, but it was around that area. and it kept getting pushed back. And it's just happening again. And it's just like, it's hard to be a fan of the franchise because you want this story to have momentum. I don't want to have to watch Avatar 3 and then wait 3 more years or 4 more years. It's 29 and 31, or is it 28 and 31?
29 and 31.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a 4-year gap. We already waited, 9 years for 11 years? How much was it?
More than that. Came out
14 years.
2022.
Yeah. 13 years. Yeah, because it came out in 2009, the first one. Yeah, so 13 years for the second one. People are enough to be patient about that. Cool, it's the third highest grossing movie of all time. Congrats. But now we have to keep waiting. I guess we got the next one in a couple of years. That's fine, but there's no reason to delay 4 and 5 just that long. I just don't think it's. At some point, you're going to lose the audience. Yeah, and not because they're getting old, but because there's just too much time has passed. Too much things are happening in the world. People get older. I think someone commented on one of our content. They were 8 or something when it first came out, and they're going to be 30. They're going to be 30 when the 5th one comes out.
It's crazy.
So they've gone from a kid to an adult within the time. I think that's just when you're making a series that long, you gotta question the process.
Just imagine if MCU Phase 1 came out with these sort of staggered dates,
Yeah. Oh, it's just
Iron Man comes out and then Iron Man 2 doesn't come out until 13 years later.
You need to layer the production process while the VFX are happening on the 3rd one. You need to be shooting 4, and then same again, or you can shoot back to back. There needs to be it can't just be one film at a time, especially with VFX that's large, So I think it's ridiculous. I think it's going to lose some audience along the way. It's sad to see, and yeah, I don't like the age I'm going to be when the 5th one comes out, but it'll be fine. I'm still going to enjoy it, hopefully, maybe. They better be worth it. I'm telling you now, they better be worth it. I've been very nice, very kind with all the delays, with the okay story for the best visual effects of all time. So they better start delivering on the story now.
Yeah, they have to, because the visual effects gap is pretty much shortened now. Mm-hmm. They no longer have 13 years to work with it. It's X amount of years in. How much of advancement can it really
do you think? Here's a theory for you. He's talked about glasses-less 3D. We can be 3D without the glasses. Do you think he's going to go for that for the 5th one?
Probably, but I'll believe it when I see it. How the fuck is that going to work? Glasses-less 3D.
I don't know. If someone can find a way,
I know. It'll be James. Bro, this guy might die before he even finishes, man.
Is he? How old is he?
I have no idea. He has to be around that. Remember that 50 to 60 mark for sure. He's not a spring chicken, so to speak.
He's 68.
68.
Yeah.
And there's 2 films to pretty much one.
So he'll be 76 by the time they're done. 76.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah. Well, what were your thoughts on them?
Avatar 3 I can somewhat, agree with, there's still some minor touches and tweaks they need to do.
Yeah.
But those other ones, to delay them by years, 4 years apart from each other is really ridiculous.
I don't like that, yeah.
I understand, because obviously they're starting to shoot them back to back,
Exactly. Yep.
And you cut out that problem, then your only worry is post-production after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pretty much almost over 2 decades for 5 films for a franchise. Yeah, they're pretty much each guaranteed $2 billion, but your core, that's just, people are just going to see that for the visual effects, really.
Yeah, they're just waiting too long now. The story needs momentum, and the first one, it was a standalone thing. If it made 500 million, it wouldn't have gone to sequel. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it made as much money as it did, he was allowed to create this massive world and create a 5-parter for it. If you're gonna do all these sequels and have the second one actually establish a story, establish a narrative that's going to continue, you need to. It has momentum, so it's carrying momentum now. By the time the 4th one comes around, it's kind of fizzled out, I think. Yeah,
I think people will get a bit sick of it. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool. I've seen this one."
And then they
even though I saw part 2 10 years ago, close enough. 10 years ago.
Yeah, it'll be like 8 years since the second one came out. It's just like...
It's just dumb. And then you also have to think about the actors as well, like Zoe Saldana and Sam Worthington.
Yeah.
I mean, they are obviously they're obviously going to get older as Zoe Saldana posted, but they obviously want to do other stuff and do other roles. They can't be locked in to this sort of stuff, you know. Maybe they want to branch away from a franchise and do more independent films or something like that, or even retire.
Yeah. See,
but yeah,
I get really annoyed when studios or filmmakers, they commit to a series in this timeline and then they can't deliver on it. Obviously, I want everything to be polished to the filmmaker's, I guess, satisfaction. But, you know, like, just you're messing with fans if you can't meet it. Because Beyond the Spider-Verse, that comes out March next year, and I don't think it's going to make that. And I don't think the directors know either, based on their comments.
I hope it does.
Yeah. And then Haley Steinfeld hasn't recorded yet. And
is that actually fact, or is it just rumored?
That's what she said. So
no way.
Yeah. If they're not going to meet that, you're just going to release the second one, have that release date be there, and everyone's going to get so in for it, and then you're just going to delay it. It's kind of like,
really?
Yeah. It's sometimes they're a bit too much, and I'm just done with the Avatar delays. Honestly,
they honestly should have just done Avatar 2 this date, and then Avatar 3, 4, 5 TBA.
Exactly. Yeah. Just do it one at a time, and just do it as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Just making sure it's as good as possible as well.
All right. Shall we move on to more delays?
If you must.
So this one's for the MCU now.
Oh, that's right.
It's not as important.
Infinity delay.
Pretty much. Except for one film, Deadpool 3. That didn't get delayed. They got pushed up. Got pushed up quite early, you know. I mean, it's been pushed up to May 3rd, 2024. So we're about 8 or 9 months away from it. We haven't seen a single thing. We haven't seen... Apart from that, like, you know, announcement video between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, we've seen nothing, we've heard nothing about this film, and it's coming out in 8 to 9 months' time. Captain America 4, that is now going to come out on August 26, 2024. The Thunderbolts film is December 20th, 2024. Blade, don't know how that's still alive. It's coming out on February 14th, 2025. Then you have Fantastic Four on May 2nd, 2025. Avengers Kang Dynasty, May 1st, 2026. And then Avengers Secret Wars on May 7th, 2027. Big delays here. This is pretty much like their phase 6 sort of stuff. And you can't help but feel that there's going to be more films. I mean, no way that Fantastic Four comes out in 2025 and then there's not a single MCU project.
There'll be stuff in there for sure.
100%. But yeah, what are your thoughts on these delays? You don't have to talk about them, or just the key ones that strike you.
Oh, I'll touch upon them. Whatever I can. What I feel is relevant. Deadpool 3 moving up. It's surprising. It only just started filming, and we're like 9 months away.
Yeah,
that's ballsy. Considering Captain America: Brave New World is almost done filming. I don't understand why, but
you'd think it'd be the other way around at least.
Yeah. Perhaps we'll find out. But hey, I'm looking forward to Deadpool 3 more than Brave New World. So I'm not going to complain, but I'm expecting bad visual effects because I expect all that nowadays.
And Deadpool or this entire slate?
The entire slate, but in Deadpool 3 specifically, because unless it's highly practical and the filming is the majority of the work, don't know how you can meet that May 3rd deadline. It's going to be a tough mark to hit, but they've made these changes. Brave New World to August. That's a surprising date for a Marvel movie, but if they feel they need that, that's fine. Blade, man, honestly, what's happening to this movie? I can't deal. I remember that it was announced, and I'm like, yo, Blade in the MCU.
Mahershala.
Yeah. Oh, he's playing. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Oh, it's just 4 directors cut, and then like all these writers are just like, it's just what is happening to the production of this movie? It just can't get off the ground. And then it's about to start filming, and then wait, no, writer strike. We're going to halt production for this one.
New Mutants 2.0 right here.
I don't know what's happening with it. I hope they can convert it to something good. I think we got a bit of a tease in our Eternals about Blade. Did we not? That sword
Yeah.
at the end, yeah. So I want to look forward to it because I love Mahershala Ali. I think he would be fantastic as Blade. So, and I hope they can go to the R rating. We'll see what Deadpool 3 is when it comes to the R rating. That should be an interesting story when we get to it. And then, yeah, obviously Fantastic Four, that May one, that is the main date when it comes to, MCU movies, the start of May, end of April kind of line. So to have Fantastic Four, Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars back to back to back for that, I think that's a good move. I think Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty were way too close, and not just in terms of production and visual effects and casting and filming, whatever, but it's just too soon for like a massive Avengers movie. In fact, I would rather they just push that back to like 2030, honestly. Like we can have personal Avengers movies. Like this Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars feels like Infinity War and Endgame. And that was the finale, the big finale for Avengers.
That was that 10-year story.
Yeah, you can have Avengers like 1 and 2 kind of feels where it's like a team of like 6 to 10, 6 to 8 kind of thing. Just the core Avengers coming in for a big threat while teasing Kang in there. Just immediately to go into that is just feels too much, too rushed. But yeah, you're right. There's going to be more in the slate. We'll see how that goes. But I think MCU is in trouble more so than its reputation damage from recent stuff. But in terms of slating, in terms of production, writer strike, all that stuff is going to hit it soon. Got to be prepared.
And I think superhero fatigue is definitely going to kick in very soon. I mean, you have the outliers like Across the Spider-Verse and beyond whenever that comes out, No Way Home, the Batman as well.
Yeah.
But the recent trend that the DCU is going, we haven't seen anything from James Gunn's universe, so we don't know how well received people are going to see that content by MCU itself, even Marvel products itself, Venom and whatnot. It's been sort of a bust, really, ever since Endgame. It's just been like they're just scrambling for every dollar they can get.
I think what we're seeing with superhero movies and the term superhero fatigue is that it's not superhero fatigue, it's mediocrity fatigue. People back in the day, any superhero comic movie, they're going to flat out, they're going to go see it. Now they're kind of just waiting and seeing if it's going to be good, they're going to go see it. We saw it with James Gunn, how it had the best holds. The Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah.
It had some of the best holds because people loved it. And, Spider-Verse, people are going to see that because it's good, great word of mouth. Then you're seeing stuff like Flash, Shazam, Ant-Man just sink like a rock, barely get off the ground. So people aren't tolerating average superhero movies anymore.
Doing good quality stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully that pushes Marvel to halt almost everything, like Agatha. I
don't even know why that's a thing.
Yeah,
I don't even know why Echo's a thing.
Oh, remember there's a Vision Quest?
Is there?
That's a show coming out, yep.
This
all that stuff.
This had to be in a phase where Marvel's like, oh yes, we're just coming off Endgame, let's push out as much content as we can.
Yep.
And then people are backfiring them and they're like, oh, we've already announced this and we can't really take it away.
Yeah.
Because they probably signed contracts and whatnot with cast members. So yeah, dumbass Disney. That's what you get. Shooting you guys self in the foot. Right, should we move on from Disney on to Warner Brothers now? What do you think? Yep.
Yes.
All right. We all know the infamous story back when Tenet came out, how what was it? How they didn't want to delay it, they just want to release it right then and then, and Christopher Nolan didn't agree. Well, is that
the other way around?
Oh, the way around? Oh, no, Nolan wanted it to be delayed.
No, Nolan wanted it released.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Warner Brothers wanted to delay it because it's a high budget movie and pandemic and stuff like that. That was fine. That was all good. But I think Nolan officially wanted to walk away from Warner Brothers when they announced. Remember that?
Oh,
they were releasing their platform at the
HBO.
same day. Yeah, yes. For the entirety of 2022 last year.
No, 21 was the year Suicide Squad came out.
Yes.
21.
Sorry,
Yes.
that's the
Yep.
one.
I
Yeah.
remember that now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So obviously Nolan didn't like this strategy
Yep.
from Warner Brothers. So he obviously went off to Universal, where he's making Oppenheimer. It's going to make them a lot of money. So now Warner Brothers wants Christopher Nolan to come back to the studio, and he's even invited him to the lot. And reportedly, he's been paid a 7-figure bonus for Tenet as a sign of good faith. Who know Nolan? I don't think I haven't seen anything when Nolan's commented on this news or anything. So I don't know if it's either reached him or what. But would you like to see Nolan return back to his old stomping ground? Do you think he should?
No, I don't think you should. Like, what's the point? Like, we went through all of this. What can they offer him that Universal isn't offering him? He got $100 million budget movie for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's not really a massive high budget kind of story to tell.
No.
Obviously, no one will find a way. What else did he get? 3 weeks IMAX exclusivity. Warner Brothers would give that to him. They'd probably try it for 4 weeks or something like that.
Tom Cruise is salty.
Yep. Over $100 million budget in marketing for Oppenheimer. Not to mention it's 3 hours. It's R-rated. Yep. Universal's allowing all of that. Oh, and he can do black and white segments in it. Reinvent new technology for IMAX. What can they offer? I know they want him because he's a good box office machine for original films, for great films. So I get the reasoning behind Warner Brothers in this. In terms of Nolan, Universal's your new home. I think just write it out, see what happens. I think whatever happens with that, there's always a home for Christopher Nolan in terms of where he makes his movies. I think, and I'm saying this as a very big Christopher Nolan fan, he has way too much power. Like, to command this kind of stuff, I think is absolutely insane.
Would you say he's the most powerful person in Hollywood now?
Not person in Hollywood. Director? Yeah, I think he's above Scorsese, who would be the next one. I mean, he can command $200 million budgets for some streaming service. They would do that for Nolan, absolutely. But he wants to make studio, cinema, IMAX kind of movies. Yeah, I don't have much to say other than, he shouldn't go back because he disagreed with their approach. They were wrong in their approach. I think we've seen that. I think, I think we're just seeing it all over the place. Something like Spider-Verse, I think, is a good demonstration on how a studio handles the pandemic. And I'll elaborate on that because it came up. Pardon?
And Paramount.
Yeah, both of them did well. But Sony, in particular, Paramount has Paramount Plus. Sony has no streaming service. They dropped Spider-Verse on Netflix. And that's dominated the Netflix charts. Everyone can just watch it. Is
that Into Spider-Verse?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so when the sequel comes out, everyone's going to go see it because they've seen the first one on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah. And then if you're going to have something like Paramount Plus, Max, Disney Plus, they don't have much subscribers. I guess Disney Plus can be excluded because it does have a lot. But all these other, like Peacock for Universal, like, yeah, you're not going to get good traction for your next one. And then Sony committed to theater exclusive releases in 2021. Paramount did that for 22. They held out on Top Gun Maverick, and they knew everything about that movie that we didn't, and that it was, in fact, a masterpiece and deserved the wait. So, yeah, I think just stick with that. If you didn't agree with what they did or what they are, stick with that because, they... it's just common sense in my opinion. Yeah, they are still like that as a company. If there was another pandemic to hit, they'd probably do the same thing. So
pretty much
stick with the ones that you chose initially.
The ones that are truly loyal. Yeah, I see that as well. I mean, obviously Warner Brothers has seen how great Oppenheimer is looking right now, and how well it's going to track, and the fact that they're not budging away from a Barbie movie as well. Obviously they're getting jealous and whatnot, and they they want their boy back because he made so many films. He made the whole Dark Knight trilogy, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk,
Yeah.
Tenet as well. So they just want him back on his books because it's obviously he makes decent. He's consistent in his box office. Like whenever there's an Nolan film, you know exactly how much he's going to make.
Yeah.
And that's just something that's not certain for Warner Brothers right now. Their superhero franchise is flopping hard. So they are losing a lot of money. So they want Nolan to come back, in my opinion. They want Nolan to come back just because they know, like, oh, yes, if we release a Nolan film, we're going to get this amount at the box office.
Exactly.
Anything more, awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Warner Brothers right now is just failure after failure. Their Harry Potter franchise is failing.
Yeah.
With Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
They have and obviously we've talked about it, they've announced a TV series now that could potentially fail as well.
Yeah.
So there's nothing Warner Brothers has that is a certain guarantee, except for maybe like their smaller unknown stuff. Just talking about franchise wise. So maybe this is a desperate plea for him to come back.
Yeah.
In terms of that 7-figure bonus that they paid him for, Tenet clearly shows that they are super desperate. But yeah, you pretty much said everything. I think I've said everything I could about this. I think Nolan should stick with the studios that just let him have complete freedom and, just you do what you want, here's your money.
Yeah, pretty much.
In fact, Universal's going to benefit from Warner Brothers because they built this director up so well in terms of, his legacy and whatnot. Now another entire studio is going to benefit because they know, like, oh, thanks for making this guy, like, a 700 to 800 plus sort of box office hit.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him everything he wants and we can potentially hit him into the billion mark.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, we talk about Nolan like he's an NBA player, just getting not traded, but he enters free agency and can sign with another studio. It's really bizarre because we don't talk about any other directors like this. That. Yeah, it's really only him, and I think that's a surprising amount of power.
I think the only one would be Villeneuve because I don't think he's been with another studio. I could be wrong.
He's just Warner Brothers, but if he was like, I might move, and then all these other studios make offers, and he just chooses the one that he thinks is best for him, he could command something like that for sure.
I think because every director, they just want to make a project, so they go to different studios. No one's quite loyal to one studio.
Yeah.
I think obviously Villeneuve was and Nolan once was.
It's because I think Warner Brothers gave them what they wanted at the time and what they needed, so they just stick with it. Yeah, I guess, which is probably for the best. In this case, do you think Nolan leaving was a bad decision? Not bad decision on his part, but like, do you think it was kind of like a selfish decision because the decision they made to release everything day and date with their streaming platform in 2021 had nothing to do with him?
Yeah.
Do you think it was a bit like self-centered or selfish for him to leave because of that?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, obviously, he saw when that got announced, he saw these directors whose films were part of that, like being affected, and obviously, because he's a director, he can resonate with them.
Yeah.
So obviously, he questioned that. But then from Warner Brothers' side, we're on a pandemic. Like obviously they need to make more money to make more movies for us.
Yeah.
That's the reason why this podcast exists. There's a reason why cinemas exist.
Yeah.
It's all for us at the end of the day. If that didn't happen, then obviously the quality of their stuff, the quality of this stuff is bad, but you get what I'm trying to say here, I hope.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to do the best they could in that situation at that current point in time, which is where they couldn't release the film out in theaters because no one was allowed to go see it. So they decided to do it both at the same time. The people that were more comfortable to go out into that sort of environment at that time, they could go watch it on a big screen. The people that weren't that comfortable could watch it at home in safety.
Yeah.
And obviously it didn't stick. It was just a 1 year thing. So it's more of like it's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Because 2022 they committed to a full theatrical.
Yeah, release. And then look at things now.
Yeah, it's back to normal. Christopher Nolan, I can understand that. He's got the director's back. And if he were to announce a movie for that year, he probably would have had that feels like, oh shit, I don't want my stuff to come out at the same time because my films are for the theater, and obviously it is.
Yeah.
So understandably for his part, I'm glad that he moved because obviously he's reinventing things for IMAX, you know, that whole thing.
Exactly.
And I don't think any other director would, except for maybe James Cameron. He's done that with 3D and visual effects. He's that guy. Nolan's the IMAX guy, clearly. So
definitely,
I think it's a win-lose situation here.
Well spoken.
Yeah. All right. Now from one studio to another, we're going to Pixar. And the most anticipated that no one ever wanted is Toy Story 5. Some details have come out regarding this. We all know Toy Story 3 ended perfectly, you know.
Yeah.
Andy said goodbye to his toys, drove from the sunset, tearjerker. And then Toy Story 4 got announced. And then we were like, okay, how's this going to work? But we're optimistic to it. And then at the end of that film, Woody and Buzz went their separate ways.
So good.
With the iconic score in the background, another perfect ending, you know? They somewhat nailed it, you know?
Infinity and beyond.
How could they top that? And now Toy Story 5 is announced. And not only that, but Woody and Buzz, who just had the most emotional goodbye ever, is going to be in this fucking movie. Like, they are milking a franchise at this point. I mean, hey, when Toy Story 4 got announced, we probably said the same thing. But how are they going to end it? You know, like they struck lightning twice. They can't strike it 3 times, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I guess I said my bit.
Well, I mean, it's clear, you know, Buzz Lightyear can't handle a Toy Story movie on his own, so they got to get Woody back in for that because what did he do? He lost like $200 million for the company.
100%.
Yeah. And I hope Tim Allen comes back as Buzz Lightyear. Chris Evans, mate, you're Captain America. You're not Buzz Lightyear, all right? That role is too big for you. Sorry. But yeah, I am going to go on the other side of the fence for this one, and I'm just going to be excited for it, honestly.
Because it's Toy Story?
Because I doubted Toy Story 4, and it was amazing. It's close to a masterpiece. It's close to the top level of Pixar. And I was like, no, there's no way. Like, Toy Story 3 won the perfect endings of all time. Like, you can't, like, continue that. But that they did. And they did it to, like, an amazing effect. And I'm like, wow, okay. So I'm not going to just immediately, like, just be like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense. They can't do it. Goodbye. I don't care. I'm going to care. I'm going to allow myself to be excited for this one. If it's one thing Pixar's always on right, it's Toy Story. They never miss the mark, Toy Story. We've had 4. And what are they? They're all like 98% and above. Like, they're just insane. They're so good. And they're so heartwarming, and they're just such great characters. And Pixar just knows all those characters in that whole world just so brilliantly that I don't have any disbelief that they're going to make anything near mediocre. Definitely not going to be bad. So it's one where I'm going to be excited for. Cautiously optimistic, of course, because as you just pointed out, it seems hard to put them back in the same story together. We got the goodbye. I don't know how it really intertwines, but I trust Pixar with Toy Story. Perhaps not with other properties anymore, but Toy Story, I know they're always consistent on. I'm going to have a leap of faith here, and I'm excited for this one, regardless.
Could you say it's new territory for them? Because Toy Story 3 was the goodbye between the toys and Andy.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 was the goodbye between Woody and Buzz.
Now it's going to be Woody saying goodbye to Bo Peep. Sorry, I've moved on, Bo Peep. And he's going to bar as he leaves because of the sheep.
This is the shit I had to put up with off mic, you know? Like,
no, guys. It's a lot worse than this. He puts up with a lot. My jokes are far worse. Off the potty.
Anyway.
But I see your point.
Yeah. Like,
I get it.
There's no more, like, there's no next step, you know? Like, that bond off between Woody hating Buzz in the first form to becoming, like, essentially brothers to saying their goodbyes. You can't top that emotional moment.
What about this?
All right, here we go.
Woody is parted ways with Bo Peep, something out of his control, and Buzz Lightyear is thrown into the donation box, and Andy, who's now a father, picks both of them up, and then there's little Andy,
Little Andy.
and he loves those two the most. And we start again, Toy Story 5, 6, 7, with Andy's son.
Andy's son called Randy.
This could be a real possibility.
It's actually very true. It is actually a good concept because, it's bringing things full circle. In terms of Toy Story 6,
it would have to be a lot better than that because that's way too forced and conventional. There's no way that could work. But yeah.
Oh, very convenient.
Oh, they'd have to find a way. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It would be good if one of the toys died, like they got so badly damaged they could be on repair, and that's their goodbye. Like, I mean, just that. I think that's the next emotional level you can get from Toy Story. I just can't think of anything else.
It is tough. But
yeah.
Do you remember at the end of the third one?
The furnace?
Yeah, no, like just after the movie. And me, you, and when we had Kai in here, we would always say, perfect ending. Where can they go? What can they do with this? And they did it. And then you come out of it, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess like Buzz Lightyear and Woody saying goodbye. Obvious, but they found a way and we didn't see it. Can they do that again?
Yeah, but those the relationships between those characters, they've already said their goodbye. Just for them to come back and do it again won't have that same impact. And Woody and Buzz...
It does lose that impact. Absolutely, yeah.
Woody and Buzz and Woody and Andy are clearly the most two, interconnected beings, so to speak, in this franchise. Like, we've already got them both already. Like, there's no other more emotional relationship that could potentially happen in this. Unless like Toy Story 5 plays out and it somehow goes back to what you see, the toys go back to Andy and his family. That's probably the only other thing to make it full circle. But hey, Pixar has a plan and I hope they execute like you say, because you are right when they say that when it comes to Toy Story, Pixar never fails.
They've never missed a Toy Story. And, we have 4 things to show for that.
Exactly.
So,
Anyway. Speaking of Pixar and their lovely sequels, we'll go on to some comments made by Pete Doctor. I'm not 100% sure on who he is within the Pixar industry. Is he the CEO?
I don't know about the CEO, but he's a massive figure within Pixar, yeah.
It's quite a big one.
He is CEO, sorry.
Yeah. He says that there are going to be more Pixar sequels after Toy Story 5 and Inside Out, and pretty much all of the films that's happened before are fair game. So pretty much he's not ruling out that we're not going to get, like, there's going to be more sequels for these iconic things, we might get a Ratatouille 2, we might get a Brave 2, hell, we might even get a Cars fucking 4.
Great.
What are your thoughts on this? And if you had to pick one film that had to get a sequel from Pixar that hasn't had a sequel before, which one would you pick?
Oh, I like that question. I'll target that a little bit later. So what was your first question?
I can't remember.
Can't remember. No.
I think I can't even remember. Oh, I think it's more along the lines of, what do you think of, like
the comments and
the comments,
all the sequels coming in terms of the original content?
Yeah.
I think it's not a bad decision financially, and from a business perspective, it makes sense. Like, they are going to make more money. I mean, Finding Dory made way too much money for the quality of the film. And Monsters University made too much money for the quality of the film. Obviously, the Toy Stories make money. Incredibles 2 made a fuck ton of money.
That was still good, though. Not as good as the first, but it was still a decent, watchable film.
Not for me. I do not like that movie.
Don't you?
I had a very bad experience watching the movie. That
aside,
I tried to rewatch it recently, like 4 weeks ago when I had glandular fever, and I couldn't finish it. It was that bad. It's not enjoyable.
I think it's PTSD for you.
Pardon?
I think it's PTSD for you.
No, it's really not a good movie. Yeah, very bad direction for the thing to go. That's just my opinion. But yeah. So the sequels, I get it, but you really need to have a good idea. Yeah, it needs to be a natural progression to things. It cannot be forced. Incredibles 2 is forced. 100% it's forced. It had a reason for it to be a sequel, and everyone kept demanding it because of the way it ended.
Yeah.
But you look at the plot, and it's like, oh, okay, this is forced. Like, they don't know what they're doing. It's not tangible. The events, it doesn't really make sense. It's really just forced. The complete character change. They change immediately from the first film, even though it takes place like minutes after.
Yeah.
They're completely different. Finding Dory, that's kind of like that wasn't a prequel, that was a sequel, but like focus on a different character.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just focusing on the fan favorite.
It's not an indirect sequel. It's like a spin-off.
Yeah, but sequel-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from a quality standpoint, as terms of the track record, yeah, Pixar doesn't have a good track record when it comes to their sequels.
Unless it's Toy Story.
Yeah, and they've been amazing. Let's not forget that. Don't forget Cars 2 is a monstrosity. Like, that movie's... I tried to watch it on the plane on our trip, man, and that was horrible.
Oh, yes, I remember you saying this, and obviously me being me on planes, I just fall asleep. So
I had the F1 car in it. I'm like, yo, this is going to be hype now. And I still couldn't finish it. It was just... The way it turned into a spy movie, like, I don't know.
And Mater was a spy. Yeah, it's just... It's a dog box for another day.
And
we'll do a Pixar podcast.
They think he's a genius and he's just Mater. Anyway, the Cars one is goated. If Cars did a sequel, I don't think I'd be surprised at all. But I think there are some Pixar movies that can have a sequel and be fine. I think Soul, but with someone else.
So another person.
Yeah, so the same concept, different characters.
So they die in pretty much the same story, or
yeah, but a more complex kind of issue with them and how they feel about their existence. You could do that about anyone. Inside Out, but
it's already getting that though.
It is. I know it's getting a sequel. You can do that, but you really need to change the dynamic, not of just the character, but the emotions inside it. I think doing it for an adult or perhaps even an elderly person.
Maybe maybe is Inside Out 2 about Riley as an adult or a teenager and her emotions in that?
I think she's a teenager, yeah. I don't like that. I want to be a different person. I want these things to be sequels, but not sequels. You know what I'm talking about?
Spin-offs.
Yeah, in the
like
sense.
Finding Dory, but better.
But better, yeah. Do it about something that's got like more than those 5 emotions. Like, I know emotions in terms of the theories behind emotions. There's various different theories on how many we actually have. There's obviously the 5 that we saw in Inside Out, but there's ones that have like 32. And it's all these like different, really nuanced kind of things. So perhaps incorporating, theories of emotions inside these movies where there's 32 of them operating.
That'll be insane.
And that, like, or you could do the one where there's 8, or I think there's one that says like 10, stuff like that. It could be really interesting stuff.
I wonder if they could go into they could go, how you do those tests and because you like your little personality types, the ITJ, whatever.
Yeah.
That could probably be a.
You could do a personalities one.
Personality one.
Yeah, that could be interesting. I like that actually. That's like a spin-off, like a pure spin-off where it's like not direct, but like it's very distant, but
similar.
The same. Yeah. Incredibles 3. I think it can work. I just think the second one was bad. Like, revert back to what made the first one work. The family dynamics there. Like, you don't need Mr. Incredible or Elastigirl taking the lead. Just have the family be the lead and have it in the future. Perhaps go.
So the kids are older.
Yeah. Jack's the child who he has control of his powers now, and both Dash and Violet are young adults, and and Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, they're getting a bit too old. They're not as good as they once were. Violet and Dash have to feel that responsibility to kind of look after both sides. What's his name? Jack
Jack and the parents.
And the parents, yeah. That could be really interesting. I just don't want Brad Bird touching that. But imagine something like Ratatouille 2.
Your boy.
My boy, or Up to.
That'd be interesting. So it'll be...
That's one that I don't think could work. None of those two could work. Could you find a reason for Up to or Ratatouille 2?
Unless it's about Russell as an adult, and obviously Carl has passed away.
Oh, no.
I think that is the only way it could work.
Oh, and he's buried next to Ellie.
I think that's the only way it could work. Ratatouille 2, I think that's a one-hit wonder, you know. You can't touch that again. It'll be great. I mean, you could do like you could do it like, you know, take a page out of Everything Every All at Once and have like a raccoon in there or something. Like, it doesn't have to be a rat. It can be like another fucking animal. Just like have a fucking bear underneath a hat, you know. Rodent, we'll say rodent or smaller creature. You know, but yeah, I think Ratatouille is a one-hit wonder, you know.
Yeah.
It's
all right. Yeah. Here's another thing before we move on. Monsters Inc., but the little girl, I forgot her name. Boo is now an adult.
Yeah, I'd like that.
You'd like that?
I'd like that. I do enjoy Monsters Inc. It's probably one of my favorite Pixar films. I was a bit disappointed how they went into a prequel rather than a sequel.
Yeah, so it say that Boo is an adult and they're scaring her daughter or making her laugh because of the ending of the thing.
Yeah. It'll be an interesting concept, you know, and obviously Boo would have, she's obviously grown up, it's matured, so she sort of doubts these monsters sort of thing, whatnot, you know, she got older, she forgot about Mike and Sully.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Could work.
Me, I want A Bug's Life 2. I know it's a fucking dumb one, but I just want A Bug's Life 2. It was the first Pixar movie, and
it was the second Pixar movie.
Was it? Oh, yeah,
Toy Story, yeah.
So it was the second Pixar movie, and I think it's one that's very underrated. It is
100%, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so underrated.
Like, it's a fantastic film.
It's so good.
I want a fucking sequel, you know? Like, it doesn't have to be about grasshoppers. It can be about fucking birds trying to attack these ants, you know? It doesn't even have to be about Flick or whatnot. Actually, no, it can be about Flick because he can fucking have a family with the little princess thing, you know? Like, Bug's Life 2, that's where the money is.
Very passionate about this.
Yeah, bro, Bug's Life is GOAT. We all know it.
Before we move on, there's one more that I don't think we covered. I think we covered nearly all the Pixar movies. WALL-E 2. Now,
I did think about that.
Now, WALL-E represents something that feels like a future that's inevitable.
Yeah.
You know, just the way humans are progressing, getting lazier, relying on technology more. The earth is dying, environmental troubles, all this kind of stuff that we keep hearing. If WALL-E 2 could play with more of what the future looks like on a technology space kind of front.
It's like AI.
It could be AI, or it obviously has to progress what the first one did because they come back and they, you know, start the planet again. Would you like to see that continuation on how they did it, or would you like more of a spin-off or prequel to how they kind of the humans got to that level? How would you, if they had to progress it?
I don't want a prequel.
So you're rather a sequel for it?
Sequel, yeah.
Of them bringing the planet back to the green and all that kind of stuff.
Into the green, and then like saying, so, it doesn't have to be this, but like something like AI somewhat taking over and pretty much destroying it, but from a different level. You know how humans destroyed the Earth in the first one?
Yep.
It's AI destroying the Earth for all.
Or they're trying to make humans leave again or something like that.
Leave again, or they're just destroying the resources for their own gain. Don't know how because they're AI, but fuck, Pixar will make it work.
ChatGPT will do it, bro.
ChatGPT and Bing, whatever the fuck it is, they're the big bad. They're the big bads in this one.
What about Bard?
The fuck is that?
That's Google's AI. Or the Snapchat AI. Don't forget about that one.
He's the comedic relief.
He really is.
He's the comedic relief.
You know, I was on my iPhone the other day, and there was like a recording of one of our recordings for our podcast, and I went to click the share to save it to my files, and it said I could send it to the Snapchat AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what point? Why would I ever send it to the Snapchat AI? It can't open it. It can't access it. It's Snapchat for one. And it's a voice recording. Like, what could that possibly be used for? So yeah, Snapchat AI, comedic relief.
Did you do it?
I actually might, because I actually want to see what it does. But yeah, that's so good. The Snapchat AI is comedic relief.
All right. Well, we'll leave the future to Pixar. And
This was a fun one. I actually,
it was good. It was a really good one. We could do a whole fucking podcast on this shit.
We could. We should do
All right, that's us on Let's Be Real. Anyway, moving on to the actual Let's Be Real now. We got stuff about Flash. Obviously, there's criticisms about the CGI and the visual effects in it. And the director, Andy Muschietti, has come out and said, the idea, of course, is we are in the perspective of the Flash. Everything was disorientated.
Disorientated.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
In terms of lights and textures, we enter this water world, which is basically being in Barry's point of view. He's just pretty much saying that the reason why the visual effects is bad is because we're seeing it from the Flash's perspective. He didn't say it before the reviews came out. He didn't say it before the film came out. He said it when it was getting criticisms. Do you think this is just him backpedaling and trying to justify why the visuals are shit because they clearly put budget elsewhere? Or do you think this is actually his reasoning for it?
This is obviously a lie.
Yeah.
It's just his way to cope with the criticisms against it. I don't think there is no argument, and at least from what I've seen on the online spaces, that I don't think anyone is actually believing this. I think it is. I think it's ballsy to just come out and be like, "Yo, this is intended. This was on purpose, man. Like, this is the multiverse. There's no such thing as VFX in the multiverse." Like, no, like
it's probably why it made $55 million.
Yeah. I've heard very strong words against the VFX in this one, more so than any movie of late. Understandably, it is quite there's some really bad stuff in this movie,
especially that third act.
Yeah,
that third act was hard.
Yeah, there's some real bad stuff in here. And I don't believe it for a single second that we're seeing from Barry's point of view. For one, no one looks at it like that. People don't view like movies like through the main character's perspective and think about how the visual effects are going to be or how it's going to look in terms of the quality of it. Oh, he's traveling some different time things that, it may look different there. Like, no, just no. I didn't have much words in this, but come on, man. Like, just be like, yep, we're rushed to the end of the finish line for this one. Most we could do, or say, hey, we didn't have enough, stuff, or just say something that's just admit it. Like, I think it's really bad practice as a director to be like, yeah, this is intended. Yeah. It's his point of view.
It's just trying to make up a story to justify why a piece of that film is so shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
rather than taking ownership.
Yeah, this takes me to Taika Waititi. He is a director that seems to struggle with public criticism towards his movies. He always deflects it in a certain way, and this reminds me of that. I really hope that Andy Muschietti here, he takes on the criticism both visually and story-wise, and applies that criticism and feedback to a better Batman Brave and the Bold. Yeah. Because I don't want him to be like, well, it's intended for Batman Brave and the Bold because we're seeing it from Robin's eyes or something like that,
I'll throw my head against the wall, to be honest.
So, yeah, I just not much words besides that, honestly.
Yeah. Same boat as you. I think there's a cop-out on his end, like...
No one's arguing with that either, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting criticism and he's just trying to just justify his movie so, it doesn't have a more significant loss in the box office,
Yeah.
Obviously, no one buys it. Anyone that does buys it, you're an idiot.
No, they're not.
Yes.
Keep holding up hope, guys. I have faith in you. I have your back.
Yeah, I don't. Like it's just clear. Like if he if he said these comments before the film released, it would have a bit more justification on my part.
Yes, absolutely. If they say like, "Oh, we've changed the world," in terms of
If he's like,
Oh.
yes, the CGI is pretty bad, but it's because of this reason. So hopefully you guys
I would think that's a stupid reason.
It is a stupid reason, but at least
I would believe what he said more.
Yes. But because these criticisms are coming out and he's literally he's saying it now, it's diluted, you know. And there's not much more to say other than like he's just trying to backpedal on
Pretty
stuff.
much. Yeah.
All right. From one director to another.
Great.
Hopefully I can get this without getting tongue-tied. Christopher McQuarrie. So we all know Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2 was supposed to be the end of the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
You know, end of Ethan Hunt's story, end of the Mission Impossible. And that's it. Well, he has just come out and confirmed that it is not the end of the series. It is going to continue after Dead Reckoning Part 2. We don't know if it's going to go into someone else or whatnot, or if it's going to still follow Ethan Hunt. And he adds that they already have ideas for what's next. What could be next? Mission Impossible is all about Ethan Hunt, but hey, mate, you do you. James, what are your thoughts on this?
Man, this whole Let's Be Real has been negative news, honestly.
We need one of these every now and then, you know?
Just get it off our chest, all the negativity.
Get it and put, you know, like give a reality check to the people.
Mission Impossible to continue. On some level, I'm happy because I love Mission Impossible. I love what they contribute to the movie industry. Their practical, high-intensity stunts is something you don't see much today, especially when it's the lead actor doing it. Going to all these, you know, practical, locations. It's a real worldwide espionage kind of thing. We don't see this very often. So I do support it in that sense. But if they're going to continue it, you need to end Ethan Hunt at Dead Reckoning Part 2. He needs to be gone. He doesn't need to die or anything. He can retire or however the director sees fit. At the end of the day, I trust Christopher McQuarrie. I do believe he's a very competent director and writer. He had a part to play in terms of the writing of Top Gun Maverick as well, alongside 5 and 6 of the Mission Impossible series. So I do trust him. I know he's a great director, fantastic filmmaker. So his comments here are surprising. And I have to trust that it won't be Ethan Hunt related and how they continue on. I do not want a Mission Impossible 9. Just something else. Whether it's a spin-off, a reboot, whatever. I want what these movies mean to filmmaking to exist and to continue forever. And that's very practical stunts. It's very high budget kind of things. It's real world locations all around the world. At some of the highest kind of filmmaking we have today in terms of the high budget stuff. I want that to continue. I don't know. I do know that I don't want the Ethan Hunt story to continue because you've committed to this ending. See it through. You don't need Tom Cruise there all the time. These movies can exist without him. I know he is the one that kind of started it all. He can be a producer and be close to the production, but you need to find more actors and actresses that can play these roles and commit to the high stunt level and work that's required to achieve those stunts. You need to commit to those, and you need to commit to more stories around that. Don't even make it in the Mission Impossible universe. Don't even use the Mission Impossible title.
They will.
I know they will just for the sake of it, but Mission Impossible, the world is not really a world. It's just, it feels like our world. It's just kind of the reality now. It doesn't feel like its own unique world, all this kind of stuff. Something like Blade Runner, that feels very unique to a world. You obviously need to apply the name to have a movie that fits in that world. Mission Impossible, you can just rebrand and go somewhere else. But they'll use the Mission Impossible title. I hope they don't. And if they do, that's fine. As long as it's a very different story, takes in a very different time period and not related to anything that we had before. Because we need conclusions, and we need more conclusions in things we see.
Mm-hmm.
I think why Marvel's not taken seriously so often is because people die or come back and then they don't die, and it's just
They've introduced variants now.
Yeah, exactly. And like the only time people are going to die is when it's a major Avengers movie. Like that's the only time when you can actually see a death coming.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never going to be in the personal solo movies. That's just one example, though. Like, there's just not enough conclusion to things we have now. And to really commit to that, same with the Spider-Verse. I keep bringing that up, but what they're doing is just amazing. They're like, nope, the third one's, we're done after the third one. Like, that's Miles' story done. They've already planned to do spin-offs and stuff like that, but Miles' story is done. If they can do that Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt's story is done. We're going to explore other people in this kind of world. I'm perfectly fine with that as long as they keep up the same stunt work and stuff like that. As long as Ethan Hunt doesn't cameo, that's fine.
I feel the reason why Mission Impossible is so stunt-based is because of Tom Cruise. I think he's the only real advocate for doing his own stunts. I think most actors and actresses nowadays more care about, as they should, their own well-being and injuries and whatnot, where Tom Cruise is just like, fuck it, I'm going to jump off a fucking plane.
Yeah.
So
but he had to do a lot of pre-work to get that.
Yeah, he did.
Can't do that unqualified.
So I think it's definitely like a once-in-a-generation sort of person that comes around for that. So that's probably why I think the Mission Impossible films will dip down after that, because I can't think of any person besides Keanu Reeves that would want to do his own stunts.
If you're going to find someone that's going to be a newcomer, I'll say that much.
Yes.
You're not going to get an established actor to do it.
I think so too, yeah.
And that's good, in my opinion. Sorry.
Building more talent, which is what we discussed last week with Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why there's more films coming up for franchises. They want to make money and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the draw line, franchises have to end. John Wick had the perfect, well, not perfect, but like a good ending for that franchise. And now there's apparently 5 coming out,
Yeah.
Toy Story, we touched upon it before. It had a good 4th film.
5th one. I'm excited. Let's go.
It's a shit I had to put up with, guys.
I'm being that one's genuine. I'm sorry.
Anyway. Unless they go with how would you think if they went with a James Bond sort of route? It's the same character in the same franchise, but they recast the actor and tell somewhat different stories.
Oh.
Would you like that? So Mission Impossible is still based on Ethan Hunt, but it's like
a retelling.
A retelling.
That's a good question. I don't think I'd like it because it would feel too copycat to James Bond. I feel like that's unique to James Bond. I feel like James Bond is the only one who could, the character per se, could age through that as well as they're done.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think they would, or I don't think it should, just because I feel like it should and is only unique to James Bond and that character. I feel like you can go in other directions with this franchise. I think the big selling point for this franchise is the stunts, is the big things that they do, and whether that's new talent or established talent that want to do it, they have to commit the way Tom Cruise did. And you're only going to make a movie, in my opinion, you should only make a movie within the Mission Impossible universe if an actor is going to do exactly what Tom Cruise would do. If they're not going to do it, don't make it.
Yeah.
That's and I know there's loads of talent out there that would do exactly what he did.
I can't think any off the top of my head. Maybe the 1917 guys, because they actually did all that.
I'm talking like just talent in general. Like if you had some newcomer who's like, I really want to make it in Hollywood, like I'll do it. Yeah, they would do it. Like, and they'd put in the work. There's people out there that will put in the work to make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
and we could find the next action blockbuster star, because I think that is
probably could. Yeah.
You think about action stars these days, you don't really have much of a list.
That's true.
You just have green screen actors these days.
Just thought of something, surprise segment for you. Arnold Schwarzenegger has come out saying that.
Oh, stop with the surprise. Don't blindside me.
Because I love a good blindside, you know? He did come out and say that he's never going to retire because, you know,
They reload.
cringy as fuck line, which goes to show his career.
Whoa.
Apart from Terminator, you know, those are good lines, but the rest he has.
The kindergarten
Kindergarten
Cop, yeah.
That I actually like that film.
That's a good one. Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know, you have these actors that probably should retire, but they're not. You know, that's somewhat taking away screen time from these younger actors that are trying to make the names for themselves. Is that what you're trying to get at here with Mission Impossible? Like, would you rather just, I don't know. Obviously, Tom Cruise, he can do this forever. He still looks like a 30-year-old, and he obviously still has the physicality for it. But you know, at the end of the day, his body's going to catch up to him.
Yeah, I think he's like 60 now. Eh? Yeah, he turned 61 soon.
Would you rather have him just pass the torch on to a newcomer, or take the Arnold Schwarzenegger route?
Very good question. I want him to leave behind Mission Impossible. It's at an all-time high, man. I did my forecasting for Dead Reckoning Part 1 today. And a part of that, obviously, I look at the critical success of the past movies. The last 4 movies have been like 93, 94, and 97% on Tomatoes.
They're very high, yeah.
They're extremely high. They're very good. And I have no doubt that Dead Reckoning is going to be in that same tier. Maybe not 97, that's a very high mark to get to. But, you know, just end it on a high. Like, don't continue these forever because you don't have forever. And I think we saw it. We haven't seen it yet. We are going to see it on Wednesday. Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford. I have heard a lot about how, you know, they can do what they can behind the scenes and in post-production, but Harrison Ford doesn't look like he has that kind of, that pep in his step, kind of, doesn't have that pull and that punch kind of stuff.
It's close to 8 years old, so.
Yeah. And understandably, it's not like we're going to hold it against him or anything, but at some point, you know, we are going to see it on screen. So just end it on a high, pass the baton over, have a mentor someone young who's enthusiastic and has good potential, and your legacy can continue through that. If you end it on a bad note and in a note where the audience can notice beyond critics, beyond us, then your legacy is a little bit stained in that sense. Just pass it on, because I want Tom Cruise to be the ambassador of action stars in the future. We've reached a point where, you know, they don't want to do stunts, they don't want to, you know, miss the hero, whatever. Mm-hmm. They want to be clean, on scratch or anything. If he can be an ambassador for the future of a lot of future action stars who do their own stunts, that's huge. That's the legacy.
I still think there are some franchises that should just end, because obviously those characters that's synonymous with them,
but like a spin-off, different characters inside the same world.
Maybe, yeah. Like Indiana Jones, you can't do a spin-off of that. Like, you can't have a new Indiana Jones, because you think of Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford, Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
You know, John Wick, Keanu Reeves. You know, like, you can't continue that sort of characters where you can, because studios will find a way. But, you know, that's why Back to the Future works so well, is because they committed to that story arc of Doc and Marty.
Yeah.
And they've been adamant, like, they don't want a Back to the Future 4.
They will do it.
Not yet.
It will happen.
Not yet. And I'm hope maybe when both like Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox probably passes away.
Okay. I agree with you. If this is the chance for Tom Cruise to mentor a new wave of action stars, would that allow you to buy into it a little bit more?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because I think we have a whole lot of like new talent coming across, you know, from child actors to teenagers to semi-adults, you know, but we're not seeing much of them. Jodie Comer, we're seeing her on smaller stuff, you know. The kid from Jojo Rabbit, we're hearing his name a lot, but we're not seeing him so much stuff, you know. Even the girl from Jojo Rabbit, I forgot her name, Thomasin McKenzie. Yeah. She has been in some decent films, but we're not seeing much of her. because I think roles are just so scarce right now that people are just picking and choosing whatever they can get, or they're just doing smaller stuff to build up their filmography.
Yep.
I think you're right. If Tom Cruise can find someone and be like, this is the next guy, and literally take him under his wing, you know, hold him through 3 films and then just let him be, then they'll be great.
If that's in Dead Reckoning, say there's like an intern on the team, probably wouldn't work because it's the second part of what's going to have very high stakes in the movie we're about to see in July. If they were to sow the seeds with that and say there's this younger guy and he's not experienced and Tom Cruise is trying to teach him and he just can't, and say the end of the movie happens and whatnot, that's the end of Ethan Hunt's story, and then the next Mission Impossible, not the 9th one, but a new story, and it's focused on this kid or young adult or whatever, but Tom Cruise is still part of it and he's just mentoring him and he's like, I'm too old, I can't do it, but I will teach you the ropes.
That would be good.
That would be good.
It's probably something like Harrison Ford should have done to Shia LaBeouf and Killing Crystal Skull. Because that ending off it, like, you know, him giving his fedora and stuff, it seemed it was a passing of the torch moment.
Yeah.
And that's never going to happen because he's not even in this next one. So it's just a bit of a waste of a scene there and just waste of emotion, you know. But if Tom Cruise is committed to building the future of Hollywood, he's obviously a clear advocate for Hollywood. You know,
definitely,
he delayed Top Gun and even Mission Impossible.
He has a lot of power, akin to Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. He did it for the cinema. So if he can like recognize an upcoming talent, take him on his wing, then he's building literally the future of Hollywood in terms of good films. You know, like obviously we have Hollywood and there's just mediocre films, but in terms of good once in a lifetime sort of films.
All right. Last question before we wrap up this, because this is an interesting topic and I'm very excited for Dead Reckoning. You know that. If Christopher McQuarrie is signed on to the spin-off or the startup, and then you got your lead, and then you got Tom Cruise mentoring, are you going to be highly anticipating that movie? It's a spin-off, but it's starting someone new. Christopher McQuarrie is writing and directing as well, so
I would, because you know he's coming off Mission Impossible Fallout, fantastic. Top Gun, fantastic.
Yeah.
From what we've seen on the trailers so far, and you know behind the scenes footage of Dead Reckoning Part 1, also looks fantastic, and no doubt Part 2 is going to be just as fantastic as well. So he's clearly one of those. He's similar to Chad Stahelski in terms of John. I know I'm comparing these two franchises a lot, but just the quality is literally the same, you know.
Like, Mission Impossible is a tier above John Wick.
I know, but I'm just talking about the quality. Like, you know what you're going to get from these films and these directors. You know, Chad Stahelski is on the film. You know what you're going to get pretty much. So I think that's what Christopher McQuarrie is doing right now. Like, I think he's pretty much in that tier. After Dead Reckoning Part 1, like, you see his name, you know what you're going to get. It's pretty much like the modern day, like, you know, Spielberg's and Nolan's and Villeneuve's, you know.
Oh, man, if Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Part 2, which comes out next year, those back-to-back titles, if they are the 97% that Fallout is, I don't know what level that Christopher McQuarrie ends up on, but man, it's going to be high because
if he goes back to back high 90s, like I'd say I'll give him some leeway, 96 plus. I want him to see in something different, not just Mission Impossible, just something different. Because
fair enough,
because you know it's the whole Fast and Furious thing.
So perhaps a break with Mission Impossible can continue. Say Tom Cruise ages till 65 to 70, and then he can mentor someone, but not doing the actual stunts because he's much older now. And then they return back to the Mission Impossible franchise. That could work. At least, I do agree that they should have a break, or at least Christopher McQuarrie moves on to something else because there's talent. I like the versatility of it.
I'm just talking about McQuarrie as a director overall. We're seeing him in his comfort zone. Put him outside his comfort zone. At least with Nolan, he does something different each film.
This is what I say about Villeneuve.
I think Villeneuve.
Comfort zone, dude.
I think Villeneuve right now is in that comfort sci-fi sort of.
This is my only criticism towards him because he is an amazing director. brilliant. One of the best working today. I'd say top 3, top 5. But you're always in sci-fi, man. I want to see something different.
That's right. And you can branch out. You can go into like sci-fi comedy, sci-fi romance. You know, like you can stick to your strength, but still change it up. And that's probably what McQuarrie can do. He can like still stick with that sort of action type of film, but like, you know, make it sci-fi or horror.
It can be complicated because if they are only good at that one genre, then stay in that genre.
Yeah.
But at least try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I think we've rambled on enough.
Yeah, and that went way longer than I thought. That was an interesting conversation.
Me too. I was planning on
that one.
I was planning on watching a movie after this. Might have to reevaluate that now.
You can still watch some Indiana Jones.
I probably could. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to us today and our ramble, especially in those last 2 segments. I think we got in a bit too deep there, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's obviously going to do us today on the Let's Real podcast, and I do hope you enjoyed it, wherever you've been listening from on this planet. If you have any questions about this episode, be sure to hit us up on social media. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, Pinterest, and YouTube. Hit us a DM and, I don't know, give us your thoughts on a Pixar sequel that you'd love to see, or what Christopher McQuarrie genre you'd like to see him dabble in outside of his comfort zone. Or if you want to see what else we get up to, you can head over to moviegains.com. You got all the latest box office news, film and physical media, 4K reviews, but not only reviews, but what's also coming out for the month. And we also do a whole lot more there, like, you know, lists and Oscar predictions and whatnot. And be sure to sign up to our newsletter. It's a good one, so you can keep up to date with all of our latest content for that week. And if you enjoyed this Let's Be Real episode and you want to hear more, head over to Spotify or wherever you pod from, search up Let's Be Real and give us a listen. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. Catch you on next episode of Win Movie Gains. Catch you later.
Peace.